a video saying that I'll move just a year ago, and then I went apartment shopping, and a month later I moved to a different state in a brand new apartment because God did. What's up, everybody? This is your girl Lucy, and today I wanted to film a video to encourage other people. If you feel called to move, or you have that itch to move out of your home state and you've been praying to move, or don't know where to move, or don't know if you see any signs, or feel like God is not listening to you, or you waited so long to move to a brand new state and you feel like it just isn't happening, this is the video for you. I watched so many videos right before I moved to my very first apartment, and those videos really encouraged me. I loved seeing women out there just like me who just wanted to move to a different state, felt called to move somewhere, but they didn't know when, they didn't know how, they were just waiting, and finally they did. And I watched all those incredible videos on how God really worked in people's lives, and I was like, can he do that for me? And he did, and then some. So I hope this video really encourages you and helps you along your journey, helps answer any questions, but most of all, to show you how incredible God is. There's absolutely nothing that he can't do. He can do anything that you dream of. He can change your life literally in a month like he did mine. He can provide for you, and you will sit in your new apartment in a completely different state wondering, how did I get here? And the only explanation is God. First things first, I grew up in my home state in Mass all my life. Now, the older that I got, I wanted to move. I just needed a different environment. I grew out of my home state and I just didn't know where I was gonna move. And around 2021, I started feeling this itch where I wanted to be in a city and a state that had people that looked at me, that had diversity, a state that really just embodied the person that I was becoming. I wanted to see Black people. I wanted to explore more. I outgrew Mass. I feel like I did everything that there was to do in Massachusetts. And now Mass is not a bad state at all. It has great healthcare, great schools. But for me, growing up all my life there and going to school there, I just needed a change. So in September 2021, me and my best friend, we went to Houston for Labor Day weekend. I don't know what it was, but it was around the time that we just kind of felt, let's like explore other states, other cities, and just see what different places there are to live. We went there, had a great time, and I just loved Houston. Now, back then, I was just partying. I was partying, but to be honest, overall, I loved the fact that there was so much diversity in Houston. There were young, educated, Black, people in their 20s that looked just like me. And I just didn't see that much in Massachusetts. And I love the environment. I love the weather. I love that there was so much to do. Now, if you're moving to a big city, you'll never be bored. There's always going to be something to do, something to explore, and I just loved it. So that's when I got the bug to move to Houston. I was like, I'm gonna move to Houston. I don't know when I'm gonna move. I don't know when God's gonna move this. Like, I don't know. So I started talking about Houston all the time. Now, 2022, I made a vision board, and I'll pop it up right here. I just started visualizing my life. I was like, I just need to be by myself. I need to have my own apartment. But I kind of got frustrated with God because I just couldn't figure out or couldn't see when I was going to move. A lot of times we think just because an idea is planted on you today that you're supposed to get up and leave tomorrow. No, it doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen like that. So 2022, I kept on going with my life. I did so much in 2022, and I will honestly say 2023 was a discovery year for me. It was the time where God was pruning me. He was isolating me from different people. I started not hanging out with the same people. I stopped really going out. And I just really started focusing on myself, focusing on my relationship with God. And I just wanted different. And in 2023, I turned 29. So I was like, this is my last year in my 20s. And if you are a female and you know the pressure that we get going into your late 20s, I was like, I need children, I need to settle down. But in 2023, I started realizing what God was really doing in my life. And I started realizing that in the previous years, I just was not ready to move by myself. There is no way I would have done all the things that God really wanted me to do. I think I would have just moved to Houston with a completely different outlook. So in 2023, around June 2023, June 24th, 2023, I made this video. I was helping a friend move out of their luxury apartment, and it was an empty apartment, and I made this video telling myself that I will move in the following year in June 2024. I had no idea what I was saying, but I know the power of the tongue, and I know everything that I say always comes to fruition. So I made that video. I hearted it, put it in my favorites, and kind of forgot about it. But this is the video right here. I'll let you guys hear it. This will be you, but in your own apartment. So you just like testing it out, but this is your old self to your future self, that this will be you in your apartment in Houston. So then fast forward to June 2024. Now, a couple weeks before June, I was in a rut. I wasn't depressed, but I was not attached to my environment anymore. I would try to go to the gym, try to do activities that kind of made me happy. I would try everything and nothing was sticking. Like, I would go to the gym, I tried a new gym, I would change up my routine. Nothing was making me happy. And I was like, you know what? I don't have any plans. I don't have any job plans, nothing. I was like, God, I'm just gonna go to Houston and go apartment shopping. Now, I had absolutely no plans of when to move. I didn't know how I was gonna do it. I didn't know when I was gonna do it. But I believe that when you go, faith without works is nothing, right? And when you go and just step into faith, God meets you halfway. So I booked a ticket, I booked an Airbnb, and I went to Houston, and I found an apartment locator on Instagram. Shout out to Instagram. And the apartment locators are really, really good at just finding apartments for you. Now, I didn't have any job lined up, so I could pretty much move anywhere. I knew I didn't want to be in the heart of the city of Houston. I knew because of the transition, I wanted to be in the outskirts a little bit, but I still wanted to be in Houston because I'm used to a residential area. I just told the apartment locator, and he ended up giving me a list. So I went there on a weekday because I knew that I could schedule the tours for apartments that weekday. So I arrived, I think I arrived on a Thursday or a Friday. And funny thing is, remember that video that I made in June 24th in 2023? I was apartment shopping in June 27th, 2023. And the day before I got on my flight, I had remembered that a year before I had written down all the qualifications that I wanted in an apartment. I wanted the 3 S's: sunlight, safety, and space. I had all kinds of details. I wanted a gas cooker. I wanted a view. I had all this list. Do you know the day before I was flying, I could not find that list. I could not find that list. I just wanted to refresh my mind, see what I really wanted so I don't get skewed, so my mind kind of stays aligned with what I wanted. I couldn't find that list. Come to find out, God really disappeared that list because he didn't want me to stay focused on what I wanted. He wanted to give me what was good for me, which was even better and bigger than what I envisioned. So I got on the plane And I got there during the day, so I was able to get a list from the apartment locator, and I had 7 apartments on my list because I was like, I don't know what I want. I don't know where I want to be. I was like, if I get there, I'm just gonna know. I prayed about it, and I just knew if I see the apartment, if I'm inside the apartment, I'm just gonna know. Now, I kind of had a little bit of a budget. So I saw on the higher end of my budget and the lower end of my budget because I knew I really wanted to be safe in terms of finances, because then again, I had no plan. So I wasn't about to go and get a $2,000 per month apartment. That's ridiculous. So the next day I toured my first apartment. It was all right. I was like, okay, this is nice. It was really cute. I didn't like the area. I didn't like the area that much. So I went on, and the way the apartment locators list the apartments, he kind of put them in the same area. So I wasn't driving north Houston and then south Houston. No, I was pretty much staying in the same area. So when I would do the tours, I would do them all at the same time in one day. So I went to my second apartment, and it's a brand new apartment. It's never lived in. They had just finished construction. So I walked in, and I was like, okay, it's nice. The leasing agent was really, really nice. And they had, of course, a show apartment, which is pretty much just an apartment that's staged so you can visualize how it would look like with furniture and things like that. Now, I walked into this apartment, and I can't really, and I had prayed to God. Now, my birthday is July 24th, and I was going to turn 30. So I had prayed to God. I was like, for my birthday, I just don't want to be at home, living at home. I want to be in a different state. I want to be in my own apartment on my birthday. And I remember that. So I walked in, and I can't really describe the feeling, but I walked in and I just knew this was my apartment. I walked in and I was like, oh, wow. Like, I felt at home. I don't know what it was, but I felt excited. I felt there was a sense of just knowing that this is for me. This is for me. And as I was talking to my leasing agent, I asked them, all the questions, because you know me, I do my research. I had all the questions. I wanted to know the fees, what I would be paying, what amenities they are, what's the down payment, things like that. After the down payment was like $500, which coming from Mass, that's absolutely unheard of. But in Houston, that's actually kind of high because there's some apartments that ask you for $200, some of them $150. It all depends. And of course, in Houston, you have to make a certain amount of money to qualify for that apartment. Most apartments were asking for 3 times the rent, 3.5 times the rent. This apartment asked for 2.5 times the rent. And I was like, oh, so how much is that? He calculated it, showed me on his phone, and I was like, oh my gosh, I make that money. Because I was working in healthcare, that's the amount of money I make, because they need 6 months of your bank statement to prove that you make that income. I was like, oh my gosh. So we're just talking, and he was like, oh, you work in healthcare? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, we give a certain percentage off for people who work in healthcare. I said, it was like 3% or something. And I was like, wow. And then he was like, I can get you in as quickly as the 25th. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, the 25th. And I was like, my birthday is the 24th. I said, he's like, oh, wow, congratulations, happy birthday. Because my birthday was less than a month away. And I was like, God. Because I didn't tell anybody that I wanted to be in that apartment or sign a lease or know that I am moving by my 30th birthday. I was like, so after that, I took the card. I didn't apply to any of the apartments that day or that weekend. I didn't apply to anything because I was terrified. I was like, I don't want to sign the lease. I had never signed a lease. I don't know. So after that, I toured a couple apartments. There was one, it was nice, but I just didn't really connect with the leasing agent. I would say she wasn't really that nice. There was other ones where I didn't like. They were like ranch style, where the hallways are pretty much outside, and I don't like that, because in Texas in Houston, Texas, they have trash valet, and I was like, when you put your trash outside, it smells. I just didn't like that. And there was one apartment that aesthetically inside, it was everything that I wanted. It had marble countertops, it had an island. Like, if you watch, especially social media or TikTok or things like that, it was that girl kind of apartment inside. And they were a brand new building as well, but for me to be able to afford it within my budget, I would have to apply for affordable housing and things like that. And I was like, okay, this is my second option. And while I was driving back to my Airbnb, I passed by an apartment that was on the list. It was a little high on the price, but when I looked at the pictures online, it looked exactly like the apartment that I had on my vision board, which I'll put right there. So visually, from the outside or from pictures on the internet, it looked literally like the apartment that I wanted, the list that I wanted. So I went inside the building. It was right before they were closing, and I asked, oh, can I see the apartment, the tour? I walked into the apartment, and it was not really, I didn't like it. Visually, what I thought I wanted wasn't really what I wanted. You know, visually, I thought I wanted this picturesque apartment that was on my vision board, and it was kind of like what I described in my list before. And God was showing me, you see, and mind you, I had not planned on visiting that 7th apartment, but God wanted to show me that what I want isn't really for me, isn't really what I like. So after that, I ended up going home. I was really excited, but I was still really just confused, because I just toured all these apartments. I have no idea when I'm gonna move. I have no idea how I'm gonna afford this move. I just have no clue. I have no clue. And towards the end of the month, I just started watching a lot of YouTube videos, you know, about a lot of girls and women who kept on talking about how God made them move and God covered everything. And one Bible verse kept on appearing. I would watch one video and they would say this Bible verse. I would watch another video and they would say this Bible verse. And I was like, is it me? So I wrote this Bible verse down and I read it. And the Bible verse was Isaiah 43:19. And what Isaiah 43:19 says, it says, see, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. I said, so pretty much it was God just like, for me, the way I saw it was God is making a new way. Like he was trying to tell me, I got you. I got you. So I was also watching a lot of videos on fasting, and I had never really fasted on my own before. I didn't know how to go about it. So for me, being a brand new faster or in the fasting world and fasting realm, I knew for me to be able to make sure that this move was for me, this move was ordained by God, I needed to go on a fast. So I went on a 3-day fast. So I would fast all the way from the 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. where I would just drink water. Now, I was still going to work. I think I only had like 1 or 2 days off, but I would listen to the word. I was not on social media. I was really focused on hearing from God and really focused on what does he want me to do? When does he want me to move? And a few other prayers that I was praying for. But my main ones was, I don't know. So the second day, I was just in my room and I had the worship music playing. And I was like, God, I just don't know when you want me to move. When is the perfect time to move? Is this the right place? At the second day, he was just like, you just need to apply. You just need to apply, just apply. And I was like, what? And I was convicted for the last couple months to start working on my credit, start saving a little bit of money, Now, I didn't know for what. I was just doing it and being obedient. It was because of this. So that second day, I remember I was at work, and over here they were having a hurricane. I forgot which hurricane it was. So I contacted the leasing agent. I was like, okay, I'm ready to apply. He showed me how to apply. I applied. I submitted everything. And usually I'm usually scared of applying because of rejection. I'm always used to rejection. But somehow I just knew I was going to get approved. I sent everything over, and it took a couple of days for him to respond to me because they had gone through a hurricane. So a lot of the leasing agents probably didn't have electricity. But the apartment that I was moving into, which was the second apartment where I walked in and I just knew, they had electricity. So a couple of days go by and I get an email and it said, "You're approved." And I said, oh my God. Wow. And at first they wanted my lease to begin on the 19th, which would make me have to pay a prorated rent all the way until the end of the month. And they were also giving 2 months free. So they were giving first month and the 5th month. So the first month I would move in, I wouldn't have to pay rent, but to move in, I would have to pay a prorated fee. So I wanted a particular apartment. I didn't want to be facing the garage or a wall. I really wanted a nice view. So the original apartment that the leasing agent gave me was a little further out, and it was, I think, a bit more expensive. But online, I just could not see the apartment that he originally recommended for me. 2 days later, we were going over the lease, and he was like, oh, let me double check to make sure the other unit is occupied or if someone took it. That unit that was cheaper, has a better view, was vacant. I said, so he's like, I'm gonna go ahead and quickly take that for you. And then on top of that, he said, oh, we're gonna change up when the lease is due because of the way the hurricane was, everything was backed up. So it kind of wasn't fair for me to start a lease when all this was happening. So he's like, how does the 25th sound? So I would only pay 6 days prorated, which was literally half the price. I said, okay, that's fine. Like, when I tell you, everything just flowed nicely. And when it's of God, and I remember someone always told me this, when it's of God, it will just be ease. It won't be complicated. It won't be hard. It will just melt into itself. And I believe it, because the way I got that lease, the way I got that apartment, I was like, and everything was approved. I only had to pay the $500 down payment. And I prayed before I signed that lease because I was like, Lord, if this is what I'm supposed to do, please don't ever let me lack. Please always have provisions for me. And honestly, he did. So weeks before I moved, I got a little side job and I was working. Baby, I was working like a Hebrew slave, okay? I was working because I had to ship my car. I had to order everything from Amazon to be delivered in my new house out of state, because remember, all my belongings were gonna fit in my car and ship my car, which is the whole nother testimony, which I'll make another video for, because I was not even prepared to get a new car and God blessed me with a new car. That's a video for another day. So I ended up working and I was able to afford to ship my car. I found a shipping company, did all my due diligence, read reviews. I shipped my car, and I just knew that God wanted me to leave before August 1st. He wanted me to leave by the end of the month. And how did I know this? My 3rd day of fasting, I was in my room and I was like, God, I just don't know. Okay, now the lease is up. Like, when do I move? Like, I just don't know. And I randomly got an email saying, I think it was from United. Was it United or JetBlue? I'll put it up there, where it was saying, happy birthday, Lucy. Because it's your birthday, we're gonna give you free leg room as long as you book your plane ticket wherever across the country by the 31st. I said, oh, you want me to move by the 31st? Oh, okay. And that was a confirmation. I later on booked that flight for the 31st and got my little leg room, and everything just worked out. My car was shipped but on a Monday. They came to pick it up at my job, and it was gonna get there by Friday, and I got on a plane on a Wednesday. And my first night in my home, I woke up and it was August 1st. God literally blessed me with a brand new apartment. I'm the first one to ever be in this apartment, brand new building, brand new everything. Spiritually, there's no crazy, nobody has ever lived here. Nobody's ever lived here. I'm the first one, and I was like, wow, like brand new appliances, everything brand new building. And I was like, wow. And it's in an ideal location. My car is safe, because if you're in Houston, you know. My car is safe, and it literally checked all the boxes, the safety, the sunlight, and the space that is just perfect for me. Nope, I took an Uber to the airport because nobody was available to drop me off because it was so early in the morning. And when I was in the Uber, it was this lady that picked me up. So I was sitting there, and she had something written on her dashboard, like where the odometer is. And I squinted my eyes and I was like, what is that? And I think it was in Spanish, and it was a Bible verse. And the Bible verse was Psalm 107 verse 14, which says, he brought them out of darkness, the utter darkness, and broke away their chains. This was the Bible verse on this woman's dashboard as she's dropping me to the airport for me to go to live in Houston in my very first apartment. If that's not God, I don't know what is. Like, I had never fasted before, and fasting was the most miraculous, most closest I've ever been to God and his word, the best I've ever heard the Lord in my, I have never heard him like that ever before. Never before. And he speaks to everybody differently. From me, it's almost like a thoughts or ideas. And I got on that plane on the 31st, and that was it. And ever since then, he's just provided provisions. I've never been so happy in my life. Power of the tongue is real. Say whatever you want in this life, prophesy through your mouth, honestly, through your thoughts, through your actions. Stay close to him, because he wants you to win. He wants you to do better. He wants you to be better. It's only been a couple months, but it's been the craziest thing I've ever done. But it's been the happiest that I have ever been. I thank God every day that I moved when I moved, because if I had moved earlier, I just would not be the same person. I would not have the same mindset. I would not be as close to him. And all those years, ever since he planted that seed for me to move in 2021, he was simply trying to prune me, trying to isolate me, because the girl and the woman that I was then is not who I am now. I'm in a city where I could go out all the time, right? There's always so much to do. But because I'm so focused, and he has isolated me in terms of to just focus on what he wants me to do, that's my main goal. And honestly, when I tell people this story, it sounds crazy, it sounds wild, but that's how God's stories are. They just don't make sense to everybody. They won't make sense to everybody. So if you get anything from this video, just get some kind of encouragement. Just know that the closer you are to him, the more he's just going to be depositing those ideas, those dreams, those next steps to you, because I am always in awe. I wake up and I'm just like, you mean after all these years, your life can literally change just like that? I don't know which Bible verse it is, but 100 years to him is like nothing. And honestly, once he answers your prayers, you won't even remember all those times that you cried, all those times that you were asking God, like, when is it going to be my turn? When is it me? Because I am so happy where I am in my life. I am so grateful. He is still working on me. I'm still questioning him all the time. Like, what am I supposed to do? He is just changing me and making me anew in terms of what I want in my life, how I want my life to go. And honestly, just get close to him. And I hope this really encourages you. It really shows you how incredible he is, how swiftly he can change your life. Like, he changed my life very quickly. I did not think that I was going to move in less than 4 weeks. I did not know that moving on faith and coming to view apartments, this is what's gonna come of it. But honestly, I say this to say that some opportunities in life you just have to jump in on, or else they'll pass you right by. I am glad that I jumped through that window when it cracked open just a little bit, because life has been amazing. Life has been crazy sometimes because you're in the unknown, but I know with him, I'm always going to be good. I'm always going to be okay. I'm always going to have everything that I need. So that's all. That is my testimony for today. Subscribe, like, comment. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope this really helped and encouraged you. Bye.